Hello, I'm Henry, and today I will be talking about one of my favorite movies, The Grand Budapest Hotel. Directed by the great Wes Anderson, this movie is full of beautiful, intricate, fairy-type-like scenes that bring this movie to life and allow you to get immersed in a story or a different world. Yes, all movies usually do bring you into another world, but in The Grand Budapest Hotel, they use storytelling within the movie to allow for characters and the audience to experience and enter a different world. Because sometimes our world can be a very cruel and bitter place, but through storytelling we can escape these horrors, even if it is just for a quick moment.
You see, there are still faint glimmers of civilization left in this barbaric slaughterhouse that was once known as humanity. Indeed, that's what we provide in our own modest, humble, insignificant... fuck it.
There are many ways that Wes Anderson allows for us to escape into a new world, with very subtle changes that you may not see or realize. One way that Anderson does so is by changing the aspect ratio for each time period. You can see from 1985 to the present, more or less, the aspect ratio is 1.85 to 1. In 1968, the aspect ratio is 2.35 to 1. And in the 30s, the aspect ratio is 1.37 to 1. This change allows for us to enter a new lens, a new perspective, a new world without a super dramatic change. As well as the aspect ratio, you can also see the color palette is much different in these time periods. The 30s have a far more highly saturated palette, providing a nostalgic story type feel, full of blues and purples, whereas the 60s have a lower saturated palette, full of browns, and is a very mellow feel. This once again provides a fantasy type feel to the 30s, a world full of color and hope. These stylistic and tonal changes are huge, and it may go unnoticed to the audience, even though you felt a change. As well as the mise-en-scene that Wes Anderson uses to allow us to escape. He also uses frame narration of allowing us to escape these horrors of the world. In the 30s was the rise of Adolf Hitler and the start of the deadliest war of all time. And also in this time period, there are hints of war all around them without actually addressing it. Because who wants to escape the horrors of our own cruel world to enter the most horrific time period that humanity has ever endured, World War II? And then in 1968, when the author is talking to Mr. Mustafa, Russia was actually invading Czechoslovakia and a part of the whole Soviet regime. With all of these horrors surrounding these time periods, they take an escape from it by entering a new world through a powerful story. The author talks about being very lonely, and you can tell Mr. Mustafa is lonely too. He even said,
"Immediately perceptible air of sadness. He was, like the rest of us, alone, but also, I must say, he was the first that struck one as being deeply and truly lonely, a symptom of my own medical condition as well."
We both escape this lonely world by entering the story into a new world. We don't see much of Agatha talking or in general. Do you think that is because she didn't talk much, or do you think it was because he chooses what information to give the audience, what he wants to make them feel? He decides to pass on a tale of love, compassion, and loyalty, compared to a story full of tragedy, loss, and death. Why do you watch movies? Why do you dive into a story? What's the purpose that you are trying to obtain? At least for me, I know that I want to escape my world, whatever stresses are bringing me down, or anything that is affecting me. I want to escape into a world full of love, compassion, and loyalty, rather than hate. The ability that Wes Anderson has for us to jump into a new world through slight and subtle changes in the color palette and aspect ratio provide a smooth transition, as well as the ability to focus on the positives of the world and in your past. This movie allows for us to escape the horrors of our world to experience the feelings that we know make this world just so amazing, and he does this all through storytelling. Thank you very much. Have a good one. Bye.
Let's change the subject. I'm leaving.